VIPER has definitely been one of the biggest winners of 2021 Valorant. Ever since her rework propelled her into the limelight, she's been sitting nice and comfy at the top of the meta. And being a VIPER main myself, I wanted to give you guys some tips and tricks so that you can dominate on VIPER as well. What is going on, ProGuides family? It is your host Sergeant Frost, and today we have 10 VIPER tips for the map Split. Let's not waste any more time and hop right into the video. The first thing we're going to be showing you is a VIPER wall that can help you control B main and mid at the same time. The reason this is good is because you have the option to defend both at the same time. To perform this wall, stand on the boxes in the corner next to the edge of B main and aim your wall at this point on the side of the wall. That way you can get it to extend all the way through. This wall has a lot of room for error, so you don't have to line it up perfectly. The goal for this setup is to work with your team to deny vision for 2/3 of the map at the same time. Also, it lets you change up positions and rotate through mid somewhat safely during mid-round. For the next tip, we have a simple way to throw the MAILROOM one-way smoke. This is really strong for defending mid and denying heaven peaks. Okay, so pulling off this one-way is going to require you to be a bit precise with where you're standing so that the smoke bounces off the wall correctly. To pull off this one-way, line up at the top of this step at the top of the MAILROOM stairs. Turn to this wall and aim at the corner on this shadow of the wall and left click. The smoke will ricochet off the wall and land on this ledge in the MAILROOM doorway. Also, if you use this one-way with the B main wall we just covered, you can hold B main by yourself and give your teammates more room to rotate around the map. Before we move on to our next VIPER tip, let's get to our question of the day. Today's question is, which map do you think VIPER is the strongest on? Personally, as an avid VIPER player, I love playing VIPER on any map, but Breeze is definitely the map where I feel the most impactful on. VIPER is definitely a must pick for this map, and I don't think any other controller comes close to matching her on Breeze. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Now, let's get right back into the video. This next VIPER tip is one of my favorites, and it's post-plant molly lineups for the A site. Depending on if you plant behind E-box or on default plant spot behind the large pillar, we have an easy lineup for each. For mollying default plant spot, wedge yourself into this corner of the box in the attacker spawn. Look up between where this ledge ends and the tall tower in the skybox. Line your crosshair up at the edge of the ledge and fire. The molly will bounce off the back wall and land on the default plant spot. This lineup takes 5 seconds to land since it ricochets, so don't take too long to pull the trigger. At this range away from the default bomb plant spot, it can be harder to hear if the enemy taps the bomb, so you have to be careful. For mollying the E-box, we go to the same corner as the default molly. Aim to the top of the bright white V at the top of the building in the distance, and then align it with the edge of this light and then fire. This lineup also takes 5 seconds to land, so you can't use these reactively unless they haven't gotten it to half yet. Up next, what we are going to show you is great to know if you're playing at A and you want to help your teammates out across the map. This wall will go from A ramps through mid and also cut off the B main entrance from attacker side spawn. To line up this wall, wedge yourself between these boxes on ramps and aim your crosshair around this spot on the wall. It's probably better to look at the minimap to make sure it lines up well. This is a nice wall that VIPER can manipulate to help out his mid player, and it allows your teammates on B side to get aggressive and take B main control off the start of the round. For our next VIPER trick, we're going to talk about a full-length wall that will cover 3 entrances on Split. This wall setup covers a lot of ground, and if placed correctly, it can block mid, top of A ramps, and A side entrance all at once. Okay, so in order to make this wall work, you'll probably want to mainly use the minimap here to set it up. Walk to the top of the MAILROOM steps and hug the right side of the wall. Aim your crosshair around this area and then look at the minimap to make sure you're angling your wall right so that it can accurately land at the top of A ramp and A entrance to site. This is a useful changeup that could be strong for some defensive A setups to slow down rushes, but be careful for enemies lurking up the ramp. If you think that someone is trying to get a sneak through, maybe your teammate can flash through to get a pick. And since we talked about post-plant lineups for A, we also have to talk about a post-plant lineup for B side as well. This lineup is one of the more standard post-plant lineups for B site on the default plant spot next to the box. So to perform this lineup, you're going to need to go back into the attacker spawn and wedge yourself into this corner between Ramen and this box. This one will be a HUD lineup, so make sure that you line up the tip of your HUD here to the bottom left of the black box. This molly lineup will fly in between 2 signs and will bounce off the back wall of sight and land on the default plant box. This molly takes about 4 seconds to land, so once again, you can't reactively throw these out unless the spike isn't halved. So if you're trying to get the most out of this molly, make sure you also read the minimap or keep track of what's happening while you hold the flank. And guys, keep in mind that if you're trying to master VIPER or any agent in this roster, it's always a great idea to have someone who can help you improve as a player. I'm only a Diamond player, but there are tons of Immortal and Radiant players on our website ProGuides.com that are online 24/7 who can provide you with the tips and tricks proven to work at the top of the ranked ladder. So if you want to learn more than just VIPER, or master another aspect of the game like your fundamentals, click the link in the description so that we can help you reach your potential today. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the defensive VIPER walls to help you hold sites. We've also got to talk about some VIPER tricks on the attacker side to help your entries. This wall covers rafters and heaven, making it hard for enemies to retake onto site, while also securing you a relatively safe entry by removing rafters from the equation. To line up this wall, put yourself in the threshold of this door that connects Ramen to the attacker spawn. Line up your crosshair with this piece of metal sticking out of the side of the wall, then lay down the wall and enter into site safely. Now that we've got a Viper wall that can help you execute onto B, our next tip will be a useful wall onto A site as well. This wall will cover the top ramp and also heaven. To line this wall up, first line up in the center of this white metal line. Turn around and look at the top left of this light spot. The reason this is really good is because not only will it cover heaven, it makes it dangerous for anyone holding rafters as they can't walk into the corner without potentially touching the wall or having their body show on the other side. We can't close this video out without also showing some Viper ultimate lineups so that you can get the most out of your defender side. A good spot to ult from on B site that covers the B site entrance and most of the B site is on the very left corner of this pillar. Keep in mind that the ultimate originates from you and not where your crosshair aims it at, so make sure you're looking straight down. Once you activate this ultimate, the smoke will go into B main a little bit, and it will extend back to most of the plant area of B site. If you're playing on B site as Viper, this is a great ultimate point to start from because it covers the most ground in B site from this point, and it allows you to dance in and out of your ultimate if you're getting pushed from B heaven as well. To finish off the video, here's a nice 2-level A site ultimate that you can use on defense that shuts down pushes in their tracks. By doing this, not only will you also cover all of A main and make it super dangerous to push through, you have the ability to change up the angle from under heaven or top rafters or even behind the plant box. To line this one up, just go on the rafters and look straight down, and go to the intersection of these lines. Another thing to note is that if you wanted to peek off your teammate's contact on ramp, you could also walk all the way to ramp into this corner as well. And that just about wraps up our 10 tips and tricks that you can use to dominate on split with Viper. Make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. This has been your host Sergeant Frost, and I'll see you all again very soon.